against Electoral College members failed. Jill Stein's recount failed. Your entire fake news narrative failed. And now this.
Individuals connected to the Russian government reportedly provided WikiLeaks with hacked emails as part of a wider Russian operation to boost Trump and hurt Clinton's chances.
The left is willing to risk civil war in America and nuclear war with Russia because they're butthurt about losing. Let that sink in. Not a single shred of evidence has been presented to support the claim that Russia hacked the election. Former UK Ambassador Craig Murray met the DNC leaker and said he was not Russian. He was a disgruntled insider. Julian Assange said all along that the source was not Russia.
The Clinton camp has been able to project a kind of neo-McCarthyist hysteria that Russia is responsible for everything. That's false.
So who do you trust? WikiLeaks, an organisation with impeccable credibility that has never put a foot wrong, or anonymous CIA sources whose entire job description is based on deception? And who are these CIA sources? They can't tell us, but they're undoubtedly the same agenda-driven Democrat sympathisers who are already under Inspector General investigation.
The transition put out a statement that essentially humiliated the CIA.
No, it's not the whole CIA saying this, and Trump isn't impugning the whole CIA when he says that this story is total BS. These anonymous CIA sources claim that Russia hacked the RNC as well, but only released negative information about the DNC. Yeah, one problem with that, the FBI investigated and found no evidence for it. The RNC was not hacked.
The RNC was absolutely not hacked, number one. We had the FBI in the RNC. We've been working with the FBI.
Why?
We've had intelligence experts here.
Wait,
hang on.
No,
hang on, Chuck. No, the RNC
explain why
was
you
not,
had the FBI
was not
there.
hacked.
The RNC offered conclusive proof to the New York Times that they weren't hacked, and the New York Times ignored it.
So the intelligence is wrong. It didn't happen. We offered the New York Times conclusive proof that it didn't happen. They refused to look at that. They ignored it because it didn't fit the narrative.
The FBI also investigated any Russian links to Donald Trump and found none whatsoever. You have zero evidence. Even the Washington Post admits that this is all inconclusive. There's also zero evidence that the Russians hacked John Podesta's emails.
Can you look right into the camera and say, I know for a fact the government of Vladimir Putin was behind the hacks of John Podesta's emails?
Absolutely. The government of Vladimir Putin was behind the hacks of our institution and the dumping of information.
Of John Podesta's email.
Not only in the United States, but also in Europe.
Okay, you're not, you know what, you're dodging.
And Tucker,
no, look and say, I know they did. John Podesta's emails, they hacked
and
those.
I think that Ronald Reagan will be rolling.
One last time, Congressman. Look in the camera and say they hacked John Podesta's emails. We know for a fact that Putin's government did that. You can't, and you know you can't, and you're hiding
Tucker,
behind weasel words.
I just said that
say they hacked John Podesta's emails.
Russians, I'm not going to be specific as to
because you don't know it. That's why. All right, done. One.
The left is now conspiring with rogue elements of the CIA to initiate an internal coup within the United States and overthrow a democratically elected president. Let that sink in. They're trying to manipulate Electoral College members to not cast their votes for Trump on December 19th. Top Democrats are already saying that electors should reconsider their votes in light of this story. They could also pressure members of the House and Senate to object to the electoral vote on January 6th, when a normally routine counting process could be turned into an anti-Trump filibuster. Obama is demanding an official report be submitted on all this before January 20th, the day of Trump's inauguration. Who will be heading up that report? James Clapper, the Director of National Intelligence, who lied under oath in front of Congress and the American people. Because he's really trustworthy, right? Just like the CIA, or elements of it, who suddenly became paragons of honesty after being bashed by the left for decades as liars and deceivers on an industrial scale.
Yes, the CIA has a long history of lies and overthrowing democratic governments, but that doesn't mean they're lying about Trump.
Yes, the CIA lied about everything else, but this one thing, I agree with them on. So they must be right. It was the left who screamed bloody murder about Operation Mockingbird, a CIA program to hijack the US media to spread CIA propaganda. Now those same leftists are gleefully regurgitating CIA propaganda as if it's gospel. Give me a break. I can't believe we're seeing the same thing we saw post-Brexit. Calls for a second vote.
If the evidence is there, I don't see any other way than to vote again.
When will you people accept defeat? Now demented never-Trumpers like Louise Mensch are calling for Obama to bomb Russia. This is insane. They're calling for Obama to declare a state of emergency to cancel the election result. And isn't it funny how all you Democrats who cry over foreign influence had no objection whatsoever to Saudi Arabia bankrolling Hillary's campaign? You had no problem taking all that George Soros money, did you? You had no problem with the Obama State Department overthrowing the government of Ukraine. You had no problem with Obama interfering in the UK's referendum on leaving the EU. And to see the same prostitutes who prostrated themselves for Hillary now trying to take the moral high ground is sickening. Now, Russia is being accused of spearheading a campaign to cost Angela Merkel the election in Germany. So either Russia has suddenly launched a coordinated effort to sabotage Western democratic elections, or the unpopular leaders of those countries have suddenly launched a coordinated propaganda campaign to blame Russia for absolutely everything to distract voters from their own failed policies. Which do you think is more likely to be true? The post-election riots failed. The death threats against Electoral College members failed. Jill Stein's recount failed. Your entire fake news narrative failed. And now this.
Individuals connected to the Russian government reportedly provided WikiLeaks with hacked emails as part of a wider Russian operation to boost Trump and hurt Clinton's chances.
The left is willing to risk civil war in America and nuclear war with Russia because they're butthurt about losing. Let that sink in. Not a single shred of evidence has been presented to support the claim that Russia hacked the election. Former UK Ambassador Craig Murray met the DNC leaker and said he was not Russian. He was a disgruntled insider. Julian Assange said all along that the source was not Russia.
The Clinton camp has